the new age of European football, Salah, and I'm really looking forward to it. It has been a good week for some teams in European football as well. I'm really excited to watch Champions League this season as well, because we have some fresh teams coming out with some fantastic performances. First team that I've really noticed, and the second team have been Napoli and Club Brugge. They've already recently qualified for the next round of the Champions League. Going first on Napoli, obviously they've had this superstar Georgian kid come through, Khvicha, who people are comparing as like Grealish of Serie A, which I don't really see. I know they wear their socks low. I know they're very good at dribbling and holding the ball together, but they've been both fantastic players to kind of watch as well. But this Napoli side as well, losing Koulibaly, losing I think Insigne went in the summer as well. You've got a brand new striker in Raspadori in the team. You've got Ndombele from Spurs, who somehow is having fantastic performances. And two of the best signings I've seen is Zambo and Guiza, who just looks like Yaya Toure, prime Yaya Toure in this Napoli side. And obviously Khvicha, the Georgian wonder kid, playing as a left winger going forward as well. And I'm really happy to see this kind of new wave of Napoli coming forward in the Champions League, dominating Ajax yesterday and dominating Ajax last week as well. So I'm really excited to see what they can do in the Champions League going forward. But realistically speaking, I think another team needs a shout out from me, and that's Club Brugge. Club Brugge have been amazing in their group. They may not have had the best of groups that they have, but they drew against Atletico Madrid. I think they won away last time against Atletico Madrid. They're already top of the group with 10 points, drawing 1 and winning 3, which is fantastic to see. And I think it has to be, I don't really want to shout this guy out, but he's had a fantastic recent performances in the Champions League. And that's Simon Mignolet.
I knew you were going to say.
He made some unbelievable saves, and I can't deny it. I know he used to play for Liverpool, but he made some unbelievable saves yesterday in the game, putting his head on the line, putting his neck on the line. Van Aken is a fantastic player from Club Brugge, who I really enjoyed watching as well. Sowa we already know about as well, but there's so many good players, and I love the fact that I mean Sowa got sent off the other day when we last saw them, but that's got some fantastic players in this team, and been 18-time Belgian champions, and for them to kind of go through in this 0-0 against Atletico Madrid, the king of 0-0s, literally the kings of 0-0s in the Champions League, I love to see it, and they kind of done what they needed to do in their own backyard, which is fantastic. So yeah, I needed to shout out Simon Mignolet for his performance yesterday. I needed to shout out Khvicha, the Georgian wonder kid, who I think will have a big career ahead of him going forward. I love the fact that for a lot of people has come out of nowhere as well. Fortunately for me, I have some friends in Georgia, which is quite cool. So they were telling me about him for like the last 2 years. So they were saying, watch out for him. And then they sent me the screenshots of when they said, remember when we told you about this guy? And now he's at Napoli. I'm like, oh my God, he's actually killing it, which is really, really good. But Salim, just before we move on to the next topic, from the Champions League that you've watched recently as well, have there been any teams or any players that have stood up for you and you thought, you know what, they've got a bit about them this season, or they've got a point to prove this season? What have you enjoyed the most so far about the Champions League?
Ooh, that's a good question, but I've not been following Bruges that much, but in terms of Napoli, definitely, because I've been sort of keeping track of Serie A as well, and how far behind Juventus are, for example, and
Napoli top of the league in Serie A as well, which is
Napoli top
crazy.
of the league there, and they've sort of refreshed their squad. It's not the squad that it used to be before, with Dries Mertens and them guys. So it's quite a new look team, and they're doing a great job there. That the Georgian kid you're on about as well, there's I can't pronounce his name, to be fair, so you've done a good job.
Don't worry, I just said his first name, Khvicha. I spoke about him like a month ago, and I was like, enunciation. So I was like, I can't butcher his name, so I'm gonna have to just call him Khvicha from now on. And they call him like is it Khvicha Donna or something on Twitter? Is that what they call him? Or online? They just compare him to Maradona.
Liverpool got massive, win that they really, really needed, in terms of their season to get confidence back. But on the other hand, you've got Barcelona, who they just watched the highlights for that game with Inter Milan, and they've been sort of banking on their whole future with all this, with sort of Champions League qualification. They're probably going to end up in the Europa League.
So, yeah, exactly. More down to head to head as well.
Yeah, it's down to head, and they lost to Inter the first time. But more than anything, in terms of teams that have got bits about them, I think the teams that will probably drop out into the Europa League is going to make this probably the most interesting Europa League there's ever been.
It's worrying you say that as well, because I'm just kind of there hoping some of these teams get into the next round of the Champions League. For example, Atletico Madrid. I don't want them dropping down into third place and potentially playing them. I don't really want to see Juventus come down into third place as well, because I know that they'll be, even though they've been awful this season, I know Allegri has that tendency to change things around, like he has done in the past for Juventus, as well. So there's always that hint that things can change over time, because last season as well, Atletico Madrid were playing awful around November, December. They still qualified for the next round. And then when it comes to February, we get outplayed and dominated in both legs of the Champions League. So it goes to show that, like you said, the quality of Champions League teams aren't necessarily the biggest teams anymore. Sometimes it's the smaller teams, like we said, in Napoli and Club Brugge, respectively, as opposed to like the larger global giants of European football, Barcelona, Juventus. It's the new age of European football, Saleh, and I'm really looking forward to it.